Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Neil.
And we are
Nerds Over 40.
We are tired Nerds Over 40. Neil, why are we tired?
We just got back from Comic-Con.
We got back
last night.
Last night. We dragged in here. What time was it?
It's like
9:30-ish.
Like, yeah. A 10-hour drive.
Today we were supposed to be productive and we ended up sleeping like half the day. It's really tired.
Our apartment is just a train wreck.
You're seeing the only corner of it that doesn't look like a bomb went off.
Presentable. Yeah.
If you could see what we could see right now, you'd be horrified. Anyway, yes, we just got back from Comic-Con. We have lots and lots and lots of stuff to talk about, so we'll try not to go on and on, but it was a lot. So,
yes.
So let's start with our Comic-Con history. Neil, what year was the first year we went to Comic-Con?
2015 was the first year we went to Comic-Con.
Yes, and this is 2025. Comic-Con did not happen in 2020 or 2021 because of the pandemic. They did kind of a sketchy like Comic-Con at home, and they did like Zoom panels and stuff, but it didn't feel the same. It wasn't.
Oh, yeah, not even.
Yeah.
We did our own Comic-Con that year.
Yeah.
We did our own Comic-Con kind of both years.
Yeah, the 2020, I created badges for everybody and sent out care packages and created a game that's based on Cards Against Humanity. And I called it Nerds Against Humanity. It was actually pretty good. We have a set of it here. So
she had those post office express mail boxes. They're about like this big, this thick, and they were stacked taller than I am.
Yeah, I sent them to all our friends. So I made everybody a badge. I made them a full set of Nerds Against Humanity cards that we played during our Comic-Con. I made Neil do a lot of gluing of things on the index card.
There was a lot of pasting
but
going
actually,
on.
we should bust that thing out again. It was good. It had
we put a ton of work
Yeah,
into
it had like Disney theme and Star Trek and Star Wars and Supernatural and Sherlock and Doctor Who, and it was actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
So, if this takes off enough, maybe I'll market it. Anybody want a Nerds Over Humanity game?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Old Nerds Against Humanity.
That's right. It was all nerds against humanity. But anyway, we did that.
Humanity against nerds.
Yes, I made a thing of brownies for everybody and sent it out. But anyway, we got a lot to cover with current Comic-Con.
Yes.
But yeah, we did our own kind of thing when it was not happening. But other than that, we have not missed a year since 2015. So we're going to talk about Comic-Con 2025 tonight and give you a rundown.
And while I'm thinking of it, be sure to like and subscribe, please.
Yeah, we keep forgetting to say that.
We'd love to see you again next week.
Yes. Our co-host tonight is Hobbs. If you're watching on YouTube, he's right here behind me.
He's pretty exhausted, too.
Speaking of 2020, he used to come to all my Zoom meetings, and as soon as he saw us setting up tonight, he took the position there. So he's supervising us. He's our executive producer.
He's a tired boy.
He's a tired executive producer. So anyway, we were kind of debating how we wanted to go over Comic-Con, and we decided to do it just chronologically. So we live in Santa Cruz, which is, if there's no traffic, about 8 hours from San Diego. And there is always traffic, because you always have to drive through Los Angeles.
If you're going in the middle of the night, you can do it in 7 hours. But LA is
which
just
we have done.
Crusher.
Yeah. So this year we decided, usually we drive down on Tuesday, so we're prepped and ready to go on Wednesday. But we ended up not getting preview night this year. Preview night sells out first when you're buying badges. And we ended up not getting it. So we decided to drive halfway, spent the night in Santa Barbara, and then got to San Diego on Wednesday.
I'm pretty convinced that if you were bad in the past lifetime, that at some point in this lifetime, you will end up on the 405 as punishment for that.
Very true.
That
Anybody from
lifetime.
LA knows what the 405 is like. Worst freeway ever. So anyway, let's talk about Wednesday. So what happens on Wednesday at Comic-Con?
So Wednesday it seems like the day that most people get there.
Right.
So check-in at hotels is a madhouse.
It's bad.
It took us 40 minutes. We're driving into San Diego, every year is the year of something. There's one thing that kind of stands out. Like 2016, it was the year of the heat wave. It was in the 90s every day. So hot. This year at the Marriott, at least, it was the year of the elevator.
Oh yeah, the elevator thing was terrible.
Their elevators were not working. The employees, I think they had a party line they had to tow, because they always said there's nothing wrong with the elevators.
There was something wrong with the elevator.
This is our 7th time staying at the Marriott for Comic-Con, and this was one of the more mellow Comic-Cons we've actually been to.
Because Marvel wasn't there.
We have never had to wait in lines like that for the for Comic-Con to get upstairs.
Yeah, the elevators were awful.
Midnight one night, we had to wait. As a matter of fact, that was the manager guy took us around to the service elevator to get us up the stairs because there's something wrong with their elevators.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get back to preview night.
Fascinating story.
We got there on Wednesday. So what happens on Wednesday, there are no panels. So there's no content like that going on. The offsites, the activations don't generally start until Thursday, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. We don't usually do the offsites, but I don't think you can do offsites on Wednesday. So really what preview night is for the exhibit hall. And the exhibit hall opens at 6 p.m. and it's open, I think, until 9 or 9:30, like 3.5 hours. And it's the night that the shoppers are there. So the people who are collectors line up early for preview night and they rush in to go to whatever it is they're going to collect.
Yeah, I'm not really a collector, but it's my favorite night. You know, to hit the exhibition hall, check everything out. Honestly, if there's a line at a booth, then I'm not going to that booth.
And the lines get capped really quickly. So if it's a popular booth, like the Peanuts booth is one I like, I've gone in there and the line has been capped by the time you get in. You'll see a big old line and then somebody holding a sign that says end of line. And then at some point they cap that line and won't let anybody else into the line to buy. And
there are some shenanigans going on too, because you'll have even people who have been camping out that are the very first people in line. They'll get in and there's already a line, you know, for these exclusives, and it's other vendors who have been in there. They're from one booth. They'll run over to another booth. They'll buy that exclusive, and later on at Comic-Con, you'll see that same dang thing that was sold at one booth being sold at another booth for 10 times the price.
And there's a lot of hostility towards people who do that. So while we're on the subject, shall we talk about what the hot commodity was that everybody wanted at Comic-Con? And you could tell the story of how we managed to get a hold of one, kind of.
Well, apparently the Labubu is the big thing at Comic-Con.
Has anybody heard of a Labubu? And I can tell you what a Labubu is. You may not know all of this information because I did homework.
This look is the I don't care look.
You're about to find out anyway.
Outstanding.
That's true for all of our Nerd Migos. So the Labubu came from, the author is Casing Lung, and he created 3 picture books that were inspired by Nordic mythology. And these picture books are populated by magical creatures, both good and evil, that are called the monsters. And of the monsters, the most prominent of the monsters was
Labubu.
Labubu. See, he knows. And the Labubus have high pointed ears and serrated teeth. They look kind of like a cross between, for people of our age group, a Manchachi. Do you guys remember those? And the monsters.
Still sing the song.
Yeah. And the monsters from Where the Wild Things Are. They have those kinds of teeth.
Call. Yeah.
So they're sold exclusively by a China-based retailer called Pop Mart. They're sold in sealed boxes and they have blind packaging. So when you buy one, Neil doesn't like
mystery
blind packaging.
boxes. I hate those too. It's a scam.
So you buy it and you don't know which one is in there, which elevates the demand for them because maybe you have 3 of this one and this is the one you want.
Well, they've got one that like only 5% of the boxes have that one in there. So people will go out. I mean, do the math, right?
Yeah.
That's 20 boxes potentially, and that might not get it. So
right. So, and I guess they're really hyped on social media right now and TikTok. Celebrities are getting into them. They're collectibles. So they retail, I think for around $20 usually, but you can't get them that way now because they're so popular. They're so hyped that they're like $65 and up, and
I
the
went
rare
online
ones are
and there
more.
was someone who claimed to be an official, but I didn't trust it enough to put my credit card information in there.
So they are, and now all these people are like making like accessories for them, like Chanel bags and backpacks and dressing up their Labubus. So at no point during the convention did we try to attempt to get a Labubu or go to the Pop Mart booth. But there was all this buzz around the Labubus and everybody was talking about them. And I think the twins, when they were at the fire, they had a couple of Labubus on one
You
of their
know what
bags.
would be the perfect storm of
What?
Comic-Con, collectibility?
What?
A Funko Pop Labubu.
Okay, you heard it here first. Hopefully you get a cut of that idea.
Yeah, that is the neutron bomb
It
of
is.
merchandise.
So we're jumping ahead to our trip home. We are going to circle back to actually Comic-Con, but since we were talking about merch, I figured we could talk about this. So what happened on the way home?
Well, as I am wont to do, I had to go to the bathroom. And apparently Salinas does not have a single working bathroom there. So
A couple of guys with mops at the Arco station. It was not pretty.
anyway, we had to push on through to Castroville. And in Castroville we pulled over
The artichoke capital of the world.
this little gas station, and the guy was good enough to let me use the employee bathroom because there are no gas stations don't have restrooms in Monterey County for some reason. Anyway,
So I stayed in the car. I was talking to our friend Joyce.
so I go in there and I'm going to buy something, right? Because it's just rude to use someone's bathroom without buying something.
Especially if it isn't a public bathroom.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to do that anyway, and then I saw this bad boy.
So describe what you're looking at for the people who are just listening to us.
This box, it's one of the most, honestly, this looks like something was boxed back in like the 60s. The box is so basic and the printing is so sort of, now can y'all, oh, that's as far as I can reach.
But you could describe it.
Yeah, so it's got this little monster on it.
It says Pop Mart, who is the manufacturer of Labubu.
It says Labubu on there, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me, right?
And on the side, it
got
has
other Labubus. And
it
it's
has
all
the
in
pictures of the Labubus. And so he brought it out to me, and I wasn't sure which Labubu was in the box. So it's supposed to be one of those.
Yeah. So you don't think this one's Dada?
No, I think this is the secret one because
Yeah.
it's not pictured. So
That's only
so
one out of
anyway,
72.
Neil is pulling out the Labubu.
So I
what
just think
may
their
or-
colors are so off that on this
So describe
box.
what you're looking at for the listeners.
Okay, so this thing is, it's pink, and it's got vinyl hands and feet, and it's got a vinyl face, just like the Monchichi for those of our generation. It's got this big sort of demented kind of smile, and then it's got these they're
Serrated
triangle teeth, right? They're shaped like triangles.
And what does his ears look like?
And his ears, they look like bunny ears, kind of. They just stick straight up. Now, there is some debate over whether this is a Labubu or a Lafufu.
And what is a Lafufu?
A Lafufu, I think, is a fake Labubu.
It is a counterfeit Labubu.
Which it just seems so perfect for Asian merchandise to be counterfeited, doesn't it?
So, because Labubus are all supposed to have 9 teeth. So count my Labubu and see how many teeth he has.
He has 10 teeth.
So we think he's actually not a Labubu, he's a Lafufu. But he's still pretty cute. And his keychain thing that he hangs from does say the monsters, which I believe.
It does. If this is a fake, someone did, went to a lot of work on this.
Here, let me see him. And he also has hearts for eyes. So anyway, this one is mine.
I think this is Dada, actually. See?
Does he have hearts for eyes?
If you look really closely, he does have
Okay,
hearts.
so he's Dada. So anyway, I was talking to Joyce when Neil brought this thing out, and Joyce and I had been discussing these anyway. Oh yeah, the keychain on the front says the monsters, and on the back it says Pop Mart right here also. So he looks pretty legit. He may not be, but I'm going to go with he's probably a Lafufu, but for my purposes, he's a Labubu. So I have my own potentially fake knockoff Labubu. Would you like to have the Labubu on your desk?
Yes, I want the Labubu over here.
Neil's taking the pink Labubu. Here we go. I'm handing him over. He doesn't sit up very well, so you may have to prop him.
Who says anything about sitting?
You're going to hang him? All right. Well, I'm going to go on with Thursday while Neil's doing whatever he's doing.
That sounds so dismissive.
No. So Thursday is the first day of panels at Comic-Con. So you have a full schedule on Thursday. And there are 3 rooms that are like the big rooms for the panels. That's very cute.
Yeah.
So the big panels are in Hall H, which we generally refer to as the Holy Grail of Comic-Con. Hall H holds 6,500 people. And then there is Ballroom 20, which holds 4,800 people. And then there is the Indigo Ballroom, which is actually next door in the Hilton. And that one holds 2,600 people. We have been to panels in all 3 of them. I think the most comfortable is probably Ballroom 20. That's the one I kind of like the best. But the biggest panels are generally in Hall H.
Well, Ballroom 20, we've always been able to walk into them.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, we've never tried to walk in on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Usually we're walking in on Thursdays and Fridays.
Yeah. The Indigo Ballroom is generally a pain in the butt to get into. We used to try to get in for the Archer panel, and they always do like animation in there. So they had like Bob's Burger and other things before that. So trying to get in for that was just a complete headache, and you're out in the sun, and it's a pain in the ass.
I think that the studios had less presence there this year.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
So anyway, and then the other panels, the smaller panels, are in the convention center upstairs in smaller rooms. So what did we do on Thursday?
Thursday morning, we did Hall H.
Which was a walk-in, which is rare for Hall H. We were able to walk in. We did not have to stand in line for it.
Well, on Thursdays, you might be able to walk in anyway. We've never really been that stoked on the content in the past, but we wanted to see Gabriel Iglesias and Joe Coy did a joint panel. And for those of you who don't know Gabriel Iglesias, you might know him as Fluffy. He's a comedian. Joe Coy is a comedian. Both pretty funny.
And we had seen Gabriel Iglesias did a big show a couple years ago at Dodger Stadium, and we had gone with a bunch of our friends. So we wore our fluffy Dodger Stadium shirts.
We were there.
We were, yeah. He said if you ever see him and you were there, you're supposed to yell, "We were there," and we were. But they were announcing that they're doing a joint show, one night show, in March at SoFi Stadium in LA. The 2 of them, Fluffy and Joe Coy. And it just so happens to be 3 days before my birthday. So
I think 2 days.
So,
I think it's the 21st.
Okay. So I'm hoping we're going to get tickets for that with our friends. So we need to talk to them about that.
You know, if something needs to happen, you're the one who's going to have to do it.
That is certainly true. One thing about Fluffy and Joe Coy is they did give us merch, which was nice.
Yeah.
Fluffy gave us a keychain, the Funko keychain that looks like him, and Joe Coy gave us hoodies and T-shirts, though they did seem to be left over from his tour last year.
Joe Coy 2024 tour.
Yeah, so it's like he had merch left over and just pawned it off at Comic-Con.
Good for him. We're not proud. We'll take it.
People love merch at Comic-Con. So anyway, but before we went to Joe Coy and Fluffy, we went into the panel before, which is usually a good idea if you're going to a panel. If you want good seats, hit up the panel before, and then when people leave, you can move up.
Yeah, that's actually a good rule. I think in any of the rooms is if there's a panel that if it's a must see for you, I mean, I would get in there maybe 2 panels before the one.
Go early.
Just because and also, as we discovered later on, that was also Thursday too, right? Mm-hmm. We went to another panel and we sat through another panel and a half before the panel that we wanted to go to started, and one of those panels was strong. And
we've ended up really liking it. And as I was about to say with this one, the one we walked into before was Percy Jackson.
Yeah,
and we had seen the Percy Jackson movies, which were okay. But there is a Disney Plus series, and that's what was the panel before Fluffy and Joe Coy. And we got in there pretty early into it. I think we were about a third of the way in. And I actually ended up enjoying the panel enough that we watched a couple episodes of Percy Jackson today. Just kind of let's check it out.
Like I
And
think we got 3 or 4 episodes
yeah.
in.
And a lot of stuff that we've discovered over the years at Comic-Con, we found that way. Like Westworld was something
Westworld.
we'd gone to a Westworld panel and ended up really liking it and ended up watching Westworld. So anyway, we watched with Percy Jackson, Fluffy and Joe Coy. Then after that, we were kind of done with Hall H. There was some other stuff in Hall H that we were really interested in. And I had a panel at 5 that I absolutely wanted to go to in one of the smaller rooms. So we decided to make our way across the exhibit hall, kind of hitting up the booths and checking things out on our way to the panel that I wanted to go to. So we went to the Jeff Granito booth. He is a tiki artist that I like very much. Got to meet him.
He's super nice.
He's super nice and staying at our hotel. We ran into him later at the hotel bar.
The Hawaiian shirts that they sell they run super small. I mean, like really small. So just when he offers to let you check it out and see if it fits,
Check it out.
check it out. Because I went 2 sizes up and it's still too small.
I got a t-shirt that looks like the Hawaiian Punch guy, but it says something like "I want a Mai Tai" or "Do you want a Mai Tai?" And he signed it for me. And my friend Jennifer got me a purse that he signed, and it was really nice seeing him. I also hit up another booth that has these like cat mermaid stuffed animals. They're like mermaids, and I got a cute one that looks like my buddy up here. He looks like a tiger shark, but his face is a cat. So you find all kinds of just anything and everything. There's all kinds, any kind of dice game you're into. There's just like mountains and tables of any kind of dice.
They usually have a good turnout of young adult authors too. So
Yeah.
if you're into young adult sort of literature, then that's a good place to go for. Besides, obviously, the comic books and graphic novels.
Yeah, there's an artist's alley where people bring their art and you can go through and check it out and get it signed. They also do commissions and things like that. And then there's, of course, the bigger stuff like a Marvel booth. I don't know if there was a Star Wars like area this year.
There was a Star Wars area, yeah.
That's not one that I usually check out, but I know it's there. But my favorite booth this year, my favorite whatever in the exhibit hall, Lego came hard. They created this entire Lego display of the convention. So they had the convention center with the road in front, and then the entire exhibit hall floor. It had over 200,000 bricks. It took over 1,500 hours to build, and it had over 8,000 minifigs in there. I guess you could create your own minifig and put it in there. We didn't do that, but I took a ton of pictures, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'll insert some here so you can see it. But they did an amazing job, and I could have stood there looking at it for an hour, but there were so many people crushing in that wanted to see it. You didn't want to linger too long, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that and the Galactus cosplay are going to be my two memories.
No, that's fine. Somebody was cosplaying Galactus, and it was insane.
Yeah.
Again, I'll post pictures, but it was, I mean, how tall do you think that thing was?
Oh, it had to be 8 feet tall.
9 feet. And it lit up, and I mean, everybody, whenever it walked by, everybody was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my
top
god!"
of the helmet, it might have been 10 feet tall.
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't even know how they built that.
I saw a video of him getting into it, and there are these painters kind of stilts that they put under their feet and walk, and he was on those, so he was already like a couple feet off of the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he saw out of it. I don't know how he walked around the convention
there was a gap in
center.
The neck that allowed him to see.
But it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was really crazy. So anyway, it's just like total like visual overload when you're in the exhibit hall. You're looking in every direction. There's something to see everywhere. You want to throw money at everything. So that was pretty cool. The next thing we did, the thing that I really wanted to do, my favorite artist in the entire world, his name is Josh Agel. He goes by Shag, which are the last 2 digits of his first name and the first 2 digits of his last name. He is a, kind of a tiki artist, but does some other stuff, and I'll go into his panel. But I do want to talk about the panel before him that we
Yeah.
discovered accidentally because we were waiting for Shag, because I wanted to be right in front for Shag. So the panel before that was Abrams Publishing, and it had a bunch of authors on the panel.
Well, and
And
artists and
yeah, the editor of it. So they had John Jennings on the panel, who wrote a book called
well,
Kindred.
he adapted Kindred from a book by Octavia Butler, I
Right.
think. And I mean that's how you'll find a lot of graphic novels, is their adaptations of other works. And um, Octavia Butler is a sci-fi writer. I think she passed away a number of years ago, but she had a very distinct point of view, and it it does get a little bit political. I think probably a lot political, but she's not necessarily wrong, and she's not wrong at all. Actually, but never mind. But yeah, he did some adaptations of her work, and well, the whole thing was everyone who I wanted to buy a book from just about every
Me
one of
too.
those
I wish
authors.
that they were selling them at the thing and
Oh,
having us be.
at that, yeah, that would have
Yeah.
been cool. Well, he was doing. I went and bought it like the next day,
Right.
in the exhibition hall, and he was going to be doing a signing at 1:30, but we had to be at the Hall H line by 2 o'clock. So
And we'll get to the Hall H
yeah,
line in
so
a minute. There's a
I
whole
didn't
thing
have
with the
time
Hall H
to
line.
hit both, but
Yeah. So anyway, the one I liked was Mark Evener. He did the Essential Peanuts, celebrating the 75th anniversary of Peanuts, which is this year. And they are essays from a jury of Peanuts lovers. And he sent them out peanut strips, and then they would write an essay on kind of what the strip meant to them or what it meant in the world at the time, how it evolved the Peanuts characters, something I'm really interested in. The book isn't out yet, but as a side note, the author was staying at our hotel, and I'm pretty sure he was staying
I
on
think he
our
was on our
floor.
floor.
And when we were leaving Comic-Con, he was waiting for his ride in front of the Marriott. And I saw him, and I went up to him, and I just thanked him for the panel and told him how much we enjoyed it. And I talked to him about how much I was really looking forward to buying the book. And he said he's really looking forward to seeing it. He hasn't seen it. He just put it together, but he hasn't seen the finished work. So he said he was really looking forward to it too. For the main event in that room for me was Shag. So he got up, and he was the only one on the panel. Like, sometimes there's a moderator. He didn't need one.
That was actually the first panel that I've been to where they didn't have a moderator.
Yeah.
Even if it's a one-person panel, they'll have a moderator asking questions. But he got up there with a little clicker. It was almost like sitting.
Yeah,
through
like PowerPoint kind of.
Yeah.
And there was a screen off to the side where he was showing his art. So I had maneuvered myself, so I was sitting right in front of him, which was awesome. Jennifer went to him before the panel and said, would it be okay if my friend has your card after the panel? And he was very gracious and said, sure. So I was excited about that. He's a
also
really nice
seems
guy.
just
Yeah.
really nice and down to earth. We've gone
to his booth a couple of times.
The last 3 years we've met him. We've got stuff signed.
Yeah.
And he's just always been so accommodating and so gracious.
He'll keep saying that he's putting his daughter through college because, we do purchase a lot of Shag, though we didn't purchase Shag this year.
No.
Because the Shag prints this year were of a teenage boy. I think it's Summer of 86 is what it's called. There's two.
Yes.
He did two versions, Summer of 86, and it has he's got a mullet, and he's lying on his bed, like doodling in a notebook, and it's got like Slayer and Ozzy and Poison posters all over the walls.
Crue. Yeah, he's got a lot of different.
And his mom is in the doorway, like bringing him a sandwich. So that's Summer of 86. And then Shag did a variant called Summer of 666, and it has the devil in the doorway instead of his mother. But I didn't listen to that kind of music, so it didn't really resonate with me.
It wasn't your idiom.
It's not.
Nor were the skateboard.
And he made skateboard decks, which are very cool looking, but again, not really my thing. So I didn't buy anything this year from the booth. But he went through kind of his three main phases. His first phase was Tiki, which is where I my fandom met his art. I'm really into tiki, and I found a bunch of his stuff early on when I got into tiki and really, really liked him. And for a very long time, couldn't afford any of his stuff, but was a big fan of it. He was clicking through and showing us pictures of like his tiki stuff. He was born in Hawaii and grew up in Hawaii for a lot of his childhood. Then he moved to Southern California, and he said he started going to tiki bars and just really liked that and started drawing tikis. He also does a lot of mid-century stuff, so a lot of his
That's his
things
second
are,
phase was
yeah,
mid-century modern.
and a lot of his things have like mid-century architecture, houses. He has like a
that
Frank
general
Lloyd
vibe,
Wright.
like think of sort of a lot of James Bond kind of had that,
Yeah,
you
low
know,
slung
the
cars, very
early James
sleek.
Bond.
Rooms with like conversation pits in them. And as he was clicking through them, I'm like, oh, I have that one on the wall of my office, or oh, I have that one, hanging over our bed. And then he also he does a lot of pop culture. So he did one with the Pink Panther,
A lot of Disney stuff.
Disney's hired him out.
He's done some great stuff. I think my favorite of the Disney stuff that he's done is incorporates the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, he's done some really cool stuff for the Haunted Mansion. Like, what was that? 999 Happy Haunts, or that one's cool. He's done the Enchanted Tiki Room, obviously.
Well, he helped with the redesign of it too.
Yeah.
So there's some real world design work going on.
And then he also does some movie stuff, like he did a Back to the Future one.
That's right. He did a Nowhere from Guardians of the Galaxy.
And he did a Princess Bride one.
Yes.
So yeah, his stuff really speaks to a lot of both of our fandoms.
It's our demographic, our age demographic, right?
And we really liked him too.
And he's got and Palm Springs is sort of his home base, and a lot of
he has his own store in Palm Springs. The Shag store is in Palm Springs. So if you're ever in Palm Springs, hit it up because it's worth going to.
And then go to Sherman's.
Yeah. So anyway, at the end of the panel, here's a practical note for Comic-Con: carry a Sharpie with you wherever you go. I do that. As soon as the panel was over, I whipped my Sharpie out, went up to the stage, handed it to him, and he signed my card and drew a little martini on it, as he always does. That's part of his signature. He signs his name and then draws a little martini. So gave it to me, was very gracious, and I thanked him profusely and fangirled, and then exited. So
if you can get out of those fangirl, fanboy situations with a little bit of dignity, then you are ahead of the game.
I don't know if I had any dignity, but I'm fine.
I thought you weren't
I was
too
all right. I
yeah.
didn't, I love you so much. I didn't do that.
You didn't start weeping.
No, there was no weeping. So anyway, Friday. So Friday, we're kind of going over what we did, but I do want to go over what our friends did just briefly also. Because I talked to a couple of our friends who did Hall H on Friday and really liked it. And we didn't do Hall H on Friday, so I was like, okay, what was in there? So I will tell you briefly what was in there. I can't go into the panels because we didn't see them. But by the way, if you're interested in watching any of these panels, they're all on YouTube.
And let me just jump in here real quick and say, like, a common rookie mistake is to go through their list of what's going on and say, oh, I'm going to go to this, to this, to this, to this, to this. You can't do that. I mean, partially is because you've got to kind of camp out in the room just to make sure that you get into the panel that you really want to go to. And getting around it's like trying to get through a jungle without a machete. It's
just know that whatever you think you're going to get done at Comic-Con, you may get 75% of that done if you're lucky. So you've got to pick and choose and prioritize what really is important to you. For us, it's usually Saturday Hall H, which is what we did, which is why we didn't do Friday, because we were holding the line down so we could get into Saturday. But if you did happen to go to Hall H on Friday, or if you're interested in any of these and want to watch them on YouTube, you can just look it up, just Google it. Just know that any of the exclusive content that's shown to the people at the panels is not available on YouTube, and it's not something that we're allowed to film. They say they bring it just for us, and they literally have security guards all over the hall watching to make sure that you're putting your phones down, you're putting your cameras down during the exclusive content. We're not allowed to share that. We can tell you about it, but we can't show you.
I actually think people are missing out a little bit on an opportunity, at least a marketing opportunity. Some of these studios, I'd almost be tempted to say, everyone, whip out your phone. I want you to record this and show this to all your friends.
Yeah, no, they don't do that.
Because back in 2015, that was part of the buzz for Deadpool coming out, because it was immediately leaked. They showed us a big portion of it, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I don't think it hurt. As a matter of fact, I think it helped blow Deadpool up to be the huge movie that it was.
Well, normally if they're showing us the trailer, and it's when the trailer, it's nobody's seen the trailer yet, usually they release the trailer after the panel.
And that's what they've taken to
they
doing,
show
is
it
not
to
showing
us,
exclusive.
and then they show the trailer. They release the trailer to the world afterwards. But the exclusive content, the clips, they don't give to anyone except the people who are actually in the room. And some of these clips
were pretty extensive, too.
Yeah. So, and we'll get to that in a second. But anyway, who was in Hall H on Friday? If you happen to be in Hall H on Friday, there was an Outlander panel. The next panel was the prequel to Outlander, which is called Blood of My Blood. There was a Walking Dead panel, which is usually in Hall H on Friday. They've been in there for I don't know how long.
As long as we've been
If
going.
there is a Star Wars panel, it is usually Friday Hall H. There was not one this year. There was one for The Long Walk, which is an Stephen King adaptation, which I'm kind of interested in, so I might watch that on YouTube. There was a Predator panel, and there was a Tron Ares panel.
Yeah, the Tron Ares, they did. I've seen some clips that they blew that up. They made a big deal out of it.
So the guys that were in our group who usually do Friday Hall H went to Friday Hall H. And when I was talking to them afterwards, they were like, oh, yeah, Saturday was good, but Friday was better. I'm like, okay. None of those are really anything that I would have gone in and, traded for Saturday, but that was them. So what we were planning to do Friday was go to the Resident Alien panel starring
Alan Tudyk.
And that was in Ballroom 20, but it was early. It was at 10. And we had been out and about Thursday and we're kind of tired. And I think you were not in the same place as I was Friday morning. Like you weren't in the elevator with us.
I had to take stuff out to the Hall H line.
So I ordered, so for our group, just so you know, for Saturday, the line for Saturday forms on Thursday. And you have to have people in line the whole time until you go in on Saturday. So we do it in shifts. So I had ordered a bunch of DoorDash, drinks and sodas and cold cuts and snacks. And we also bring umbrellas. I will post a picture of what the umbrellas look like. So we have a cart. So he had loaded up the cart and taken them down to the line. So we had decided we were going to go eat for the breakfast buffet at the Marriott before we tried to go to the panel for Resident Alien. So we were waiting for Neil to come back. So we said, we'll meet you downstairs and go eat. So my friend Tara and I got in the elevator, and we've mentioned the elevator situation, but we got in the elevator and someone walks in the elevator kind of a little bit in a rush, really good looking guy in a leather jacket. And we realize it is.
I didn't realize anything. I wasn't there.
Alan Tudyk. It was the, Resident Alien. So we knew exactly where he was going because we knew his panel was in like an hour. So Tara was, he's I don't want to say goofy looking, but he tends to play kind of goofier characters. He was a goofier character.
Wash was a goofball.
Yeah, on Firefly and on Resident Alien. I gotta say, and hopefully he's not listening to this, but he was super hot in person. Like Tara and I were both like, whoa. And so Tara's like, good morning.
He was like Neil hot.
He was hot. So anyway, I said to him, hey, we're trying to get to your panel. And he's like, yeah, I'm trying to get to my panel too. I forgot my phone. So he had gone back to his room to get his phone, and he was rushing to try to get to Ballroom 20 for his panel. And there were all these people other people in the elevator who looked kind of confused about who we were talking to and why we were making a big deal about this. And this happens at Comic-Con. You run into celebrities. Like, as a matter of fact, the night before, our other roommate, Jennifer, had been in the elevator going down the stairs, came out and she said, guess who I ran into in the elevator? And we said, who? And she showed us a picture and it was Kevin Smith. Marvel wasn't there. So the line was very short. It was
even when Marvel
unusually
hasn't
short.
been there, it's still been, blocks and blocks long. And
Yeah.
I mean, up until like 5 or 6 at, that night, it was still like you could measure it in yards.
Yeah. So some of our crew, because the way it works is one person can hold a spot for 3. So we do it in shifts to hold it down for everybody. And then some of our crew, after we got wristbands, stayed out all night. They put them up in these tents, which we call the chutes, up by Hall H, and sleep out overnight. And what was our position in line?
We were the first. We were number one.
There was no group in front of us. We were right up front.
And that's amazing because there have been a few years where we've been like within 20 feet of the front of the line, and then by the time it's all said and done, we're not in the first 500 people.
Yeah. We were number one in line, which was amazing. So we met back. So everybody who went back to sleep, we all met back at the line at like 6:30 in the morning. And at that point, you're kind of functioning on pure adrenaline. So everybody's kind of sitting around half.
Also, don't drink too much coffee because you're not going to have access to a bathroom until they let you into the hall. So
you can bring food and drinks into Hall H. So bring a backpack, unless you want to eat mystery hot dogs and nachos all day, which we kind of did this time. But yeah, and
the Hall H hot dogs were gray.
Yeah, they're kind of sketchy.
No, ours were pink.
That was the beginning of the day.
Yeah, we had a hot dog at like 9:45 or something. But yeah, we had an exhibition
and they're expensive
hot dog, which was like.
Yeah.
It was gray. It was.
Yeah. So a lot of people pack sandwiches and snacks and bring them in with them. That's fine because you're there all day. Because there are no in and out privileges. Once you go in, you're in. And once you leave, you're done. So if you don't want to see something till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you need to get in there first thing in the morning and stay all day.
Well, you can get like a 10-minute pass to go to one of the external bathrooms.
Yeah.
But in years past, you could give that to somebody else. But now they have you badge, they have you badge
they're
out and
RFID
badge back in again.
on them. So, yeah.
So don't think that you can get away with that anymore either.
Yeah. So anyway, what did we see Saturday Hall H? The first panel was
Coyote versus Acme,
which was I thought was going to be kind of a filler panel for me. I thought it was interesting. I mean, I don't know that I'm going to go see Coyote versus Acme.
We're going to see it.
It's animated. It's DreamWorks.
Well, it's animated.
No, the second one was DreamWorks. That was WB.
Yeah, it's animated like Who Framed Roger Rabbit was animated.
There's like live action and animation.
I don't know. I thought it looked pretty good. I want to see it.
Yeah, the moderator was good. Paul Scheer was good.
He was. Yeah,
moderators can make or break a panel.
One of the frustrating things is that not everyone treats Hall H, in my opinion, the way that it should be treated. I mean, but they did a little bit of production at this they had the Acme lawyers show up, and they had
somebody in a like coyote head.
It was
sitting
fun.
There holding up signs like no, like the coyote does because he doesn't talk.
But it was a great panel.
They showed us content. They had the guy who does a bunch of the Warner Brothers voices.
The voices was there.
Eric Bauza. He was doing like the Bugs Bunny voice and whatever. So Will Forte, he's Coyote's lawyer. He was the lead
Some
human
of you might
in it.
recognize him. I think he was on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. So it was good. I thought that was a good panel.
Yeah.
So the second panel, this is the DreamWorks one. Sorry, the other one was WB. Was Bad Guys 2, which I had no interest in seeing. We didn't see Bad Guys 1. It's a cartoon. But then they start bringing out all the actors, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, the actors were amazing in this panel.
You get them for a live action film, and I will sign up for that any day.
there was Sam Rockwell, who was in Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, which was a great movie. The Green Mile.
He was Justin Hammer
in Iron Man 2. He was in White Lotus. He was Galaxy Quest. He was the guy who thought he was going to be killed. He was like the red shirt guy.
Oh, Guy Fleegman, right?
Yeah, so good.
Well, he's won an Academy Award for something.
Yeah.
He was in Luna, which I haven't seen, but I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that because it's supposed to be spectacular.
But he's got tons of personality. Then there was Mark Maron, who is in Stick right now with Owen Wilson, which is a good show.
Hilarious.
He was in Glow, which is one of our favorite shows. He's done a bunch of stand-up.
He has a podcast that he's winding down now. But
then there was Aquafina, who I love, and she said it was her first Hall H, and I'm like, what about Shang-Chi? And then I realized that was
came out during COVID.
The pandemic, so they didn't do a Shang-Chi panel, but she's awesome in that. Yeah. She was in Crazy Rich Asians, and I love her
adorable.
in that. She is. She's adorable. Then there was Craig Robinson, who started he was in The Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Pineapple Express, and I almost yelled this up at the panel, but I didn't. What was he in?
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Hot Tub Time Machine, which we've mentioned before.
One of our favorites.
Anthony Raymond, who was in Hamilton. And
he was in Ironheart, played the Hood.
And then Daniel Brooks, who I love, who was Tasty on Orange is the New Black.
And the funny thing is, she didn't show up for the Peacemaker panel later that afternoon.
Because she wasn't feeling well.
James Gunn said it's because she didn't feel well. It's like, she looked fine at the bad guys, too, panel.
Yeah, so I don't know what was going on with that. And she was sitting next to Natasha Lyonne, who was also in Orange is the New Black. She played Nikki. And was in Poker Face, which we like a lot, which is on Netflix.
No. Is it on I think it's on Peacock, isn't it?
Maybe it's on Peacock. And then Russian Doll.
Which is on Netflix.
And she's great. And then Maria Bakalova, who I don't know very well, but she was at the end, and she was in the Borat sequel. Borat subsequent
Borat
movie film is what it was called. So that was a good panel. I don't know if I'm going to go see the movie, but I sure enjoyed the panel because I liked everybody on it.
Yeah, you may have noticed by now that you're probably not all that excited about those movies. Yeah, it was not a typical Hall H.
Right. So the next one was typical for Saturday Hall H.
Yeah.
And is one of my main fandoms. For those watching on YouTube, this is my Captain Kirk tiki mug. But I am a Trekkie. So the next one is the Star Trek universe, and they brought 3 properties. So the first property they brought is their current show, which is Strange New Worlds, which is kind of like a prequel to the OG Star Trek with Shatner.
Yeah, so it's got Captain Pike who was the captain before Kirk came along.
And Spock is on it, and they're just introducing Kirk on it.
And if you're an old school Star Trek fan who just hasn't really gotten into the new stuff, I tell you, I like this series. I think this series is more reminiscent of the original series than anything in between, than the Next Generation or any of that. I love it. And I think what I particularly, what makes it feel like kind of home for me is that it's episodic. You know, you don't, I really love what streaming has done, and it's created this new work of art where it's you've got these much longer sort of story arcs. That's fantastic. But now everything, you have to watch 13 dang episodes to see this series, and I see the story, and I'm just, some of them, you're kind of fighting by the time you get through. You're like, I'm just finishing this because I'm already this committed. But I love being able to watch an episode and it's over in an hour, and then of course you pick it up again the next week. But that feels kind of nostalgic for me, being able to watch a show that's like that again. And don't get me wrong, Strange New Worlds has it does have some longer arcs, but you can get a satisfying episode from it, which so many shows, you're just like, ah!
So what did they give us?
Oh, they showed us a whole new episode.
They showed us a whole episode. So they walked the cast out on the stage, but they didn't really talk much. They just kind of brought him out.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we're going to show you an episode. And the episode they showed was, so the plot was that they're just developing the holodeck. So any of us who are longtime Star Trek fans know exactly what the holodeck is and are used to looking at the holodeck. But here somebody just developed the technology for the holodeck and they want to test it out on the crew. So they pick a crew member and they say,
to see if the ship can handle the demands of running a holodeck.
Right. And so they ask her, you know, what do you want to see on the holodeck? And she has this character, this I guess set like the 50s or 60s.
It's kind of a
from a book she
detective
likes.
character.
Yeah. And so they create this murder mystery for her, and she's the detective from the story she likes.
Yeah, and she's the answer or she's related to Khan.
Yeah.
Her last name's something Noonien Singh.
Right. And
she's a cool character too.
And
by
this
the way.
episode for me was very reminiscent of the next generation holodeck episodes where Picard would go on and do like his film noir, detective, whatever. So that was fun. We got to see that. So then the next thing they introduced was there is going to be a podcast, and it is called Star Trek Con. And it's supposed to be a deep character study of Khan and how he became what he became. Khan is voiced by Naveen Andrews, who is from Lost. He played Saeed.
Yeah,
so
actually one of my favorite people on the. Well, I've got so many favorites.
Everybody's my favorite,
the actor,
except for Hurley, who's actually my favorite.
They had such a great cast.
Yeah. So anyway, it's him, Tim Russ, who played Tuvok on Voyager, and then George Takei, who of course is Sulu. So they are all going to be voices on this podcast. So watch it, but not instead of watching us. In addition to,
that's right. Yeah.
And then the next thing is their new property that they're launching, which is called Starfleet Academy. And this premieres next year. It's set in the 32nd century. So it's set in the timeline of far future, like the Discovery timeline. And anybody who's watched Discovery knows everything kind of fell apart with Starfleet. So they're trying to kind of get it back together. So this is the first iteration, the first new class of Starfleet cadets in over a century. And they train aboard an actual starship. The name of the starship is the USS Athena. But the starship is docked at Starfleet Academy. So part of it's like actually at the Academy in San Francisco, but then they can all get on the ship and be deployed to go on missions too. So it's kind of both.
It reminded me of how in Next Generation they could separate the saucer section from the nacelle.
So I'm excited about Starfleet Academy. I'm a Trekkie, so I'm in for all of it. I'm probably even going to be in for the podcast, but I like the people who are in it. I like the Holly Hunter choice. I like the kind of one of the things that I've complained about Star Trek in the past is it seemed like they were going back a lot of the time. Strange New Worlds went back. It didn't go forward. What I like about Starfleet Academy is it's going forward. I like seeing the new stuff. We've already seen the holodeck. We've already seen the transporter. Like if you go forward, you get to see new things. And so I like that the next Star Trek series is moving forward, not backward.
Well, one of the weird things that once Discovery went forward is that they have the saucer section isn't physically connected to the nacelles, right?
I don't know.
It gets really interesting like that.
The spore drive and whatever, gets a little funky.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm looking forward. I'm going to watch that for sure. So let's keep going. So the next movie that they showed was Project Hail Mary.
This is another one that is definitely something Saturday Hall H.
It's totally Saturday Hall H. And one of the things they did for this, which is this is the only thing that we were in for Hall H that they did, is Hall H has a gigantic screen in the front of the room, but they also have panels along the side of the room that they can pull back for these two huge screens on the side. None of the other panels utilize this, but Project Hail Mary did. So as soon as you see those screens pulling back, you get excited because you know you're getting content all the way around the room. So, Project Hail Mary, and we're going to not. I can't do spoilers because I'm only halfway through the book, but Neil has read it, so we'll try to avoid too many spoilers
Oh,
when we're
we're
talking
not
about
going to do
this.
any spoilers. I mean,
Little
we're just
bit.
going to talk about
Talk
the
about what it's about.
yeah.
So it's a book by Andy Weir, and Andy Weir was on the panel.
He wrote The Martian, Artemis. Y'all have to remember The Martian had Matt Damon in it. And,
Yeah.
the book is actually they did a great job of adapting that movie from the book. Very much kept the voice because Andy Weir's he's a funny guy, you know.
He
And,
is
and if you
funny.
remember The Martian, it was a funny it wasn't a funny movie, but there was a lot of humor in it, right?
Yeah. And he talks about that in the panel. He talks about how all of his characters, kind of part of them, are his voice. And so the book, there's kind of one main character. The rest of it is told in flashbacks, kind of on somewhat on his own, kind of like The Martian was. And that character is Ryland Grace, and he's played by Ryan Gosling, and he was also on the panel. Neil had mixed feelings about
Ryan
Ryan Gosling
Gosling.
playing this character. What were your
He
thoughts on
seems
that?
too pretty to me. He's playing a scientist who becomes a high school science teacher, and I mean, honestly, like as far as I think, we kind of we threw around some names. I think that Mark Ruffalo might be somebody who's maybe looks more like I would expect that to look. But honestly, seeing Ryan came into the project pretty early on. Was one of the early producers, so he's excited about it. So you know what, that enthusiasm, I would, I think it's going to be fine. But like I said, just he wouldn't. If I'm dreamcasting that position, I wouldn't be. He wouldn't even be on my list.
So also on the panel were the two directors, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, and then Drew Goddard, who is the screenwriter, and he also did the screenwriting for The Martian. And they had to wait to get him. He was doing something else, and Andy Weir said, "No, I'm not working with anybody else. It has to be him." So they waited until he had time to do the screenwriting for it. They showed us the first 5 minutes of the movie, which was pretty cool. They also showed us a lot of clips from the movie, and then around the room they showed us a lot of images from the movie.
You know, it's funny. It is going to be kind of like The Martian that there is not, well, when the main character doesn't interact with a lot of different people.
Right.
Right?
And I think that's why with the flashbacks, you're seeing like how he got to where he was at the beginning of the movie, and we won't spoil that for you if you haven't read the book, but there's a lot of stuff that led up to him being where he was in the very first shot of the movie, and that's told in the book and also in the movie from what we saw in flashbacks.
And I would just encourage you all, if you haven't read the book, go out and read it. Read The Martian too, because they're science
great.
fiction can be very, very dense and very hard to read. I don't find these books to be that at all. I think the author has got a great sense of humor. I think he tells a story really well, and I think he writes great characters.
Yeah. I would say do what I did. I didn't read the book. I'm listening to the book on audio. And the person who narrates the book on audio is amazing and has won awards. And they did a separate panel with the author and the person. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name right now. I think his name is Ray, I think, who did the audio, but they had a separate panel for the guy who did the audiobook because it's so popular. It was amazing. So I would say if you don't want to read it, listen to it on Audible. It's so good.
We listened to it on part of the drive.
We
and
did
I
on
will
our way
say
back from
he's one of
Comic-Con.
he's one of the best Audible people that I've heard. Now, I mean, I usually read. I work.
Yeah.
5
I
minutes from
commute,
home,
so I listen when I do that more because I'm in the car 2 to 3 hours a day. So I listen to books, but this one was fabulous. So I thought it was a great panel. And we don't want to say too much more without spoiling it, but highly, highly recommended. And I think probably my favorite panel, that and Shag of the con.
Yeah,
They
for
did a
sure.
great job.
Andy Weir is living his best life.
He is. He's so funny. And he
He's
said it
having
was his first time in
fun.
Hall H, except he was there as one of us and was there for the Deadpool panel way back in the day.
We were in the same hall with him.
We were. We might have been sitting next to him. You don't even know.
Oh. He probably didn't have seats as good as ours.
Maybe. He didn't sleep out for 3 days. So the next panel, which was the last one we stayed for in Hall H, was the Peacemaker panel. I am not... It's not really a property that I'm particularly interested in. John Cena isn't really, for me, not a big draw. But we stayed because James Gunn was on the panel. And we really like James Gunn. If you've listened to our Superman podcast, we talked a lot about James Gunn, and he was there. And actually, ironically, someone mentioned Superman during the Peacemaker panel, and the entire hall stood up.
Was it John Cena or
somebody said it? I don't know. The entire hall stood up and gave James Gunn a standing ovation for Superman during the Peacemaker panel, which was one of my favorite things that happened at Comic-Con. And it was nice to be able to thank him for that. So,
and I did watch Peacemaker season 1, and it's entertaining. It's a little fluffy, it's light. There's some cartoonish violence.
It looks pretty violent.
It's pretty intense.
They showed a really violent clip, and I did from the clip. I was like, "This is not making me want to watch this show."
He's basically a bad guy who thinks he's a good guy. If Punisher was an idiot, that he'd be Peacemaker.
Yeah. So anyway, we won't go into that too much.
But I did one thing. There was a scene that they showed with John Cena in it, and I'm watching the scene, and I'm like, oh my God, he's acting. I mean, I thought he was pretty good in the scene, and it kind of blew me away. It's almost like having a dog talk to you, just not something I expected. So, kudos for that guy. He's obviously honed his craft. He takes the acting seriously.
And there was an offsite, a Peacemaker offsite. Also, we didn't really talk about offsites, and we're running long, so I'm not going to go into them too much because we didn't go to any of them. But there was one. So after we left Hall H, there were a couple more panels. One was Demon Slayer, which was very popular amongst, I'd say, probably a younger group of people. But one of the things that happened to me, and here's a tip for you if you're going to go to Comic-Con in the future, I had probably the best seat in Hall H.
Yeah.
I was in the second row. In front of me was like an ADA space for a wheelchair, and the person in the wheelchair was in front of Neil next to me. So I literally had a straight shot, leg room, which is rare, and a straight shot up to the podium. I was like right there. So I had a great seat. So this girl came up to me.
Yeah, there was no one between her and the moderator or the rest of the panel.
I got great pictures. It was amazing. So while I was sitting there, this girl came up to me from the back of the hall, came up and she asked me, which is the last panel that you guys are staying for? And I said, probably either Project Hail Mary or Peacemaker. And she said, would you mind if I had your seat after you leave? And I'm like, sure, no problem. So she said, I'll come see you at the end of Peacemaker to see if I can get the seat. And I said, that's fine. And she came and checked in with me like one other time before that. And people are like, circle you like sharks. If anybody gets up out of their seat to go to the bathroom, there's always like, is somebody sitting there? Can I have your seat? When you have good seats, that happens to you a lot. So I had to kind of back everybody off and say, no, these seats are taken. And people after her were asking me for my seat. And I said, no, I've promised it. So I waited until she came up at the end of Peacemaker and we gave her my seat. And she was there for Demon Slayer. That's what she wanted to see. So she got a great seat for it by coming and just being really nice and asking for our seat. So rather than kind of being sharky with people, if you go do something like that, if your panel is later on in the day, you may end up with a really good seat that way. So just a good tip.
And in years past, they've when they've chosen where panels go, they'd like bookend it with, you'd have Warner Brothers first thing, and then you have Marvel at the end of the day. And what that does, that ensures that nobody's leaving.
Yeah, because if you leave, you can't come back, like we said.
If you're here for Marvel and everyone's there for Marvel, that means you're sitting through some panels that you don't necessarily want to sit through. I had this thought. They should get those popular panels. They should have those up front so that the people who are going to those other panels that they sandwich in between, so that they can get in to see it. So we can have Warner Brothers and then Marvel, or vice versa, and then we will leave if we're not into whatever else is showing, and so that those fans can actually get to see their stuff too. But they also want to have a full room for everybody. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
That's just a thought.
And after Demon Slayer was Kevin Smith. He's always last. And he was there from, I think, 7:15 to 8:45. We did not stay. We like
Only
Kevin
an hour
Smith.
And a half, huh?
Yeah, well, who knows how long he went, but that was what he was scheduled for. So I bought 30 tickets to the AMC, and we took our group and we all went to see Fantastic Four. And we're not saying anything about that because our next episode we're going to be covering Fantastic Four. So we will go into details with that next episode. But we did that. And then the final day of Comic-Con is Sunday. There's very limited programming on Sundays. Yeah. There was nothing in Ballroom 20. The only thing that was in Hall H was George Lucas, which is a lot. And he is opening up a museum, the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. He was introducing that. And Supernatural used to be in Hall H on Sunday, and there used to be a big line for it because everybody always wanted to go to the Supernatural.
Yeah, they kind of anchored Sunday Hall
And they
H.
were very cool because they used to come visit the line. That's another thing. When you sleep out in the line, sometimes people come visit. They've cracked down on security, so I'm not sure they do that anymore. But it used to be pretty open. They didn't have fences around it or anything.
Well, you didn't go through bag check back then.
Yeah. So Misha Collins, who played Castiel on Supernatural, used to bring us stuff in the morning one year.
Zack Snyder showed up in the Batmobile.
Yeah, he pulled up in the Batmobile on the corner. Benedict Cumberbatch once visited the line, and I was super bitter that I didn't get to see him. So, but anyway, so we did not go to Hall H on Sunday. We were pretty wiped out at that point.
We did our cosplay
that
day.
Yes, so that's what we did do. So we don't usually cosplay. Neil once cosplayed as Barf and was very popular.
The middle-aged male demographic loved me.
They kept yelling at him, "You're your own best friend."
I am my own best friend.
But I decided, because it was the 75th anniversary of Peanuts, that I was going to be Peppermint Patty because she's my favorite. So Neil decided he was going to be Charlie Brown. And then
decided I was going to be Charlie Brown.
I got him a Charlie Brown outfit. That's how he decided. But a bunch of our friends kind of got in on the act. And so we ended up, my friend Joyce went as Lucy, and she has a friend who helped her make the psychiatric help booth. And then her son Jeremy went as Snoopy and made the doghouse. And then we had a bunch of our other friends. So I was like, well, we need to take a picture at least. We all brought these things. So I said, Sunday, nobody really has anything going. Sunday morning, let's just meet in front of the exhibit hall and get together and just take a picture. And I had made a bunch of fan bracelets that I was going to do a bracelet meetup and give away, and hadn't done that because I hadn't, as I said, you have to let some things go at Comic-Con. So I just threw them in a bag, and I figure, okay, I'll just give them out if I run into anybody and whatever. So we lined up in front of Hall A, which is on the Marriott side of the exhibition hall, outside, and it's nice. It's kind of in the shade, and it's where everybody has to walk in to go into the exhibit hall. And we were just going to do a lineup of our cosplay, take a couple pictures and leave. And all of a sudden, everybody walking by wanted to take pictures of us. And one of the security guys for the hall was hyping us. And he's like, look at the Peanuts crew, come take a picture. So I gave Joyce, who was in her little booth, the bracelets, and she starts giving bracelets out. And how long were we there?
We were there at least an hour.
At least an hour. We could have been there longer. And this is the first time we've done a group cosplay.
Of course, Sally saw Spartacus walk by and took off.
Rachel, Neil just called you out because you were chasing after Spartacus. Yeah, just Sally bailed on us.
Sally went chasing tail.
Hot Spartacus walked by, and that was the end of the Sally. But yeah, and so I was not expecting us to be nearly as successful as we were with that.
Honestly,
cosplay.
It was for me. Now some of the others in our group were much more fancy, but it was the world's easiest cosplay. I put on a shirt and some black shorts,
And you were Charlie
and that
Brown.
was it for Charlie Brown.
Yeah. So now we're talking about whether we want to do a group cosplay next year, and we're definitely going to do it in the same spot at the same time. But we've talked about what Princess Bride, Shrek, Flintstones, Alice in Wonderland. Those are some of the ideas we've come up with. So I don't know what we're going to end up being at this point.
Yeah.
So it's So anyway, we did our cosplay and we were out there for quite a while. So then we went to lunch and just kind of chilled, took a nap. And then I always rent a boat at the end of the con because you're kind of sad at the end. Like if you just walk out of the exhibit hall and that's it and it's over. I like doing kind of a fun thing at the end with our friends.
Well, and you're exhausted. You've been walking. You've been on your feet.
Yeah, you're tired. By
days.
Sunday, you're tired.
You've been you've been in the sun and in the elements, and some folks have been sleeping out. And let me tell you something. I don't remember grass being that hard when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You sleep on the grass under the chutes, in the Hall H line. That's some hard grass.
Yeah, so a few years ago, I found this cruise. It's called Tiki Time Bay Tours, and it's the main guy on it. His name is Donnie. Shout out to you, Donnie, and also Jen is the person I booked through and is the bartender. And the first year we, kind of got a few tickets, and the second year we got a few tickets, and finally I just decided I'm going to rent the whole boat and just invite all our friends. So I think this is the third year that we've had the whole boat, second or third, at least the second. I think it's the
second
third
year we've had the whole boat.
Yeah, the year 3 years ago we had almost the whole boat, all but two people.
All but two people. It was really awkward for those.
Yeah, we felt bad
people.
for the two people
no,
weren't in our
people.
group.
3 people.
Yeah.
There was one person who they gave a free ticket to,
and
then there were
couple.
like a boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
I think were.
So you go, you meet up at the harbor. There's a good fish and chips place right there. So we go early and have fish and chips, get on the boat, and it's just so refreshing and relaxing. And they can either, tell you about what's out in the harbor, or you can play games, you can play music, and then you drink.
They pretty much just let us talk this time because it's the fourth time we've done it. I think.
So you can tell them what you want done, but it's really nice, and it's something that is nice for us to do with our friends at the end of the con. So that was how we ended our Comic-Con. The next morning, we always just have breakfast at the hotel together to say goodbye. And
the Marriott has an outstanding breakfast buffet.
They do. So that was our Comic-Con. I do want to kind of talk just really, really briefly about next year's Comic-Con, in case you're interested in going, in case we haven't turned you off with our tale of this year.
Yeah, this is going to be a long one, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. So next year, the dates for it are, the preview night is July 22nd, 2026. And then Thursday through Sunday is the 23rd through the 26th. Returning registration, for those of you who you cannot buy for returning registration unless you had a badge for 2025. That's October 4th. So that's coming up in a couple months. So for the Nerd Migos and our crew, get ready, because we'll be doing a preliminary meeting before that, and then getting our badges October 4th. And then
by the time it's just there's so much stress around Comic-Con. Like, am I going to get badges? And then am I going to get hotels? And then when's the Hall H line start? And
October 4th is the next stress. And then open registration. So if you want to go to Comic-Con, you've never been to Comic-Con, or you haven't been in a few years, you want to go, open registration, it's much harder to get badges, it's much more competitive, is November 15th of 2025.
Probably.
Yeah, well, that's when they have it scheduled. If you want to go, you need to create a member ID first. So you need to go to comic-con.org and create a member ID. You must be 13 years old to get a member ID and provide a valid email. The prices for this year, and they don't generally go up too much. So the prices for this year were $80 for each day except for Sunday, which was 60.
That's kind of they jumped it up, didn't
A
they?
little bit, not much. Those are the regular prices. The junior prices, so for a child, military, or senior, the daily prices are $40 except for Sunday, which are 30. And our recommendation is buy as a group. So get into a buying group. One person can buy for three. So if I drop, I can buy for myself and Neil and one of our friends. We buy as a group. So whoever drops can buy for multiple people. And that's the way we end up getting badges every year. A hotel sale is very similar.
We have a large buying group, and
Yes.
we've been very fortunate the last few years that everyone. I mean, we didn't get preview night, but we got all 4 other nights. And
Yeah. And we have an ongoing group chat that goes throughout the year that we update all of this stuff on. As a matter of fact, as we were driving home from Comic-Con yesterday, I updated the name of the group from SDCC 2025 to SDCC 2026. And one of our friends was at Disneyland, the Trader Sam's, the tiki bar there, and got me the exclusive Trader Sam's 75th anniversary tiki mug that I've been wanting. So it's good to have friends, and it's good to have nerd friends. So that was a long one. Hopefully you hung in there with us. Next week will not be quite as long, but there was a lot to say about Comic-Con. Next week, we will be talking about Fantastic Four. By the time we do our recording, we will have seen it twice. We did see it at Comic-Con, but that was a little hectic. We were there with 30 people. There was a lot going on. So we're doing another viewing this coming weekend, and then we're going to do a recording with our review of it.
All right, folks. Thanks for bearing with us.
Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you at Comic-Con next year.
Adios, Nerdmigos.
Live long and prosper.